Hello there, Grateful Gang. Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. I am Lauren Blanchard-Zaleski, and it is Thursday, August 26th, 2021. This is I think it's episode 56 already. And if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. I come to you every Thursday talking about various topics, usually pertaining to gratitude, living your best life, despite our struggles. We talk a lot about chronic pain and illness. I run a group on Facebook called Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. I'm sure many of you are members of that, but if you're not, we would love to have you join us. And it is open to people with physical and or emotional, mental pain that are just looking to live a life of positivity and gratitude. And we kind of have the mindset of just because we're sick, injured, disabled, depressed, that life doesn't have to end. We don't want to be depressed. We are a community of 6,300 members now, which I'm very proud of. We've been around for almost 7 years, and we inspire each other. We do daily intentions and gratitudes, and it's just a really positive place 24/7. So we would love to have you there. Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain. And each week I come to you. Most weeks we have a guest, and I've got a fantastic guest tonight who happens to be a personal friend of mine and a sorority sister, Lisa B. Waldman, who has a new coaching business, a new book, and a great topic we're going to be talking about tonight. So I can't wait to introduce her to you. I swore tonight I'm not going to get behind on comments. So let's see. Oh, Nick's here. Hey, Nick. Hi, Nick. Hi, sweetheart. Nick lost Nick was our dirt therapy guest. If you guys have tuned in, she was the one that taught us how to plant lettuce in pots and stuff like that. I love you, Nick. Nicole lost her dad last week. I was with her yesterday. So I love you, babe. Brenda Royer's here. Hey, Brenda. Thank you for being here. Oh, somebody's already in on the prize. Haven't even announced it yet. But yes, we do have Lisa Waldman is giving away. She's actually giving us an option tonight. A free coaching session with her or her brand new book. So if you would like to win it at any point during the broadcast tonight, you need to write Tusif, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sure I am. #gratitude. Martha's here. What a surprise. Hey, Martha. Thank you for joining us. Martha is Lisa's partner in crime, wife. Heidi's here. Hello, Heidi. Hello, Linda. Mary's here. Welcome, Lisa. Glad you're here. I'm so glad she's here too. I cannot wait to introduce her to you guys. Hey, Linda. Glad you're here. Julie's here. Oh, we've got a great crowd tonight. Hello, Lauren. I was wondering why you were saying hello to Arlene. Oh, Mary's entering the contest already. Isabel Maggie Diaz is here. Oh, great crowd. Great crowd. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So last week I was off. I was on vacation. I say in quotes, I was on a staycation, actually. We had intended on going on a vacation. Rob, myself, and our two kids are 25 and 23. They're adults now. We were going to spend the first part of the week down in Bethany Beach, Delaware, at my brother and sister-in-law's house at the beach, at the sea. And then the second half of the week was going to be at my parents' mountain home, which is in the Poconos of Pennsylvania. But as the saying goes, when we make plans, God laughs. And my daughter, Riley, got sick. She's fine. She's absolutely fine. Negative COVID test, but she was sick pretty much all week. So we turned it into a staycation. And without getting into too much detail, I wrote a blog post. If you go to my website, which is gratitudeaddict.com, I posted my latest blog post, I think yesterday, I think maybe the day before, I think Tuesday, on it's called The Art of the Unplug and How I Found Gratitude on My Staycation. It was the most profound week. I cannot even tell you. I painted, I unplugged. I know Lisa's going to be talking about rebooting and things like that. She's big into that. It was easy for me to get back in the flow of things because I was home. I love my work. I just started working again the first couple of days. And then I'm like, you know what, Lauren, you need to take a step back if you're going to be a good leader and and all that. Just take a step back, even if you don't want to. And it was the best thing I could have done. I had a glorious week. So I have so much I would love to tell you, but you're better off reading the blog post. So go to gratitudeaddict.com. Couple exciting things. This just happened. I was just invited to be featured by Thrive Global, as well as Authority Magazine, and a feature they're doing, a series they're doing on finding happiness and joy during turbulent times. So they're going to be featuring me in a future interview. I'll keep you guys posted on when that is. I'm super excited about that. That's quite an honor to be asked to do that. And the Gratitude Journal for Teen Boys is still coming out November 30th, as far as I know. I think it's pre-sale starts really soon, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. Oh, I didn't get to show this last time. So my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and my former neighbor and one of my best friends, Christine, she made me this for my birthday. This is cross stitch. It says, "Start each day with a grateful heart." And I don't know if you can see, like, look at the detail in that. I just, so thoughtful. So when you get a gift that's homemade like that, it's just so mindful. I know she was thinking of me the whole time. And every time I look at it, I'm going to think of her. Just the fact that she thought of me enough to do that. It wasn't a big birthday or anything like that. So thank you, Christine, if you're watching. I will treasure that always. And I want to get to Lisa because I know the hour's going to go fast. But one last announcement. If you are in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain, join our book club. Jill Cook is reviving our book club, and we are starting in September a new book called You Are Badass by Jensen Ciro. It is kind of a do at your own pace book club. So you don't have to worry about if you can't make it one week or whatever. It's a very relaxed book club. So join our book club because it's going to be great. Jill is a former journalism major and English teacher. So she is quite, she's going to be great in doing that. Let's see. Oh, if you're joining from inside Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain, and you don't give StreamYard permission, you're going to come up on my screen as Facebook user. Obviously, this is one of my nieces. I'm assuming Campbell. So hi, Campbell. Yeah, she says Ms. So hey, Soupy, love you. Oh, Nicole, mom's here too. Hey, Tina. I want to show those pictures from yesterday. You guys with the dog are so funny. Oh, thank you, Soupy. Congrats on the interview. Thank you. Okay, so I'll get to more comments later. Let me bring on Lisa. So Lisa, I'll read her bio just to be formal at first, and then I'll tell you. I didn't have to stalk her either. Lisa Waldman is a life coach, author, motivational speaker, and licensed clinical addiction specialist. For more than 3 decades, she has empowered thousands of people from every walk of life, motivating them to make healthier decisions and transform themselves. Lisa specializes in guiding people to stress less so they can achieve more. She teaches workshops on wellness, stress management, spirituality, and a variety of other topics. She is an avid photographer, proud cat mom, child of the 80s, go 80s, big hair and great music, hiker and grateful sous chef to her amazing wife, Martha, who we've just met. And visit her website. Her website is chilloutcoaching.com. Which I've got right here, chilloutcoaching.com, and she's got a Facebook page as well. Let's just bring her on. Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we are sorority sisters from the University of Rhode Island back in the late 80s,
yes.
Early 90s, not to date ourselves, but it is the truth. Her last name's Waldman. She was known as Waldo. I don't know. Does anybody still call you Waldo?
Once in a while.
Once in a while, yeah. So Lisa rebooted. You took a break we were friends on Facebook for a long time, and then you took a break from Facebook.
For a couple of years. Yeah, I got off.
So you came back on recently, and then you saw what I was doing, and it was along the same lines of what you wanted to do with your coaching, and contacted me. We had a phone conversation. It turned out we have so much in common, as well. And, as well, wanting to help people in the coaching realm, but also she found out that I'm 8 years sober in recovery, and you are sober for a long time.
Long time.
Long time. You just had a big anniversary, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so we really hit it off, and I'm so proud of you for this new endeavor. She also, before I let Lisa talk, she was my, what would you call it? Accountability coach, I guess.
Yeah.
When I wrote this book for the 5-Minute Gratitude Journal for teen boys with Rockridge Press, I had weekly deadlines, which normally under normal circumstances would completely stress me out. But Lisa was my guide, and she helped me to break things up. And it really went so well, thanks to your guidance. I didn't think I needed you, but it turned out you did me a tremendous favor. So I thank you.
My pleasure.
So how did you get into all this? What are you doing, and how did you get into all this?
So I've been in the addiction field for a couple of decades now, and I don't know, for the last 5 or more years, I've been trying to figure out, if I wasn't doing this, what else would I do? And so I sat with that and sat with that and sat with that, and then COVID hit, and through a series of happenstances, I got clear that it was supposed to be coaching. And so I was diagnosed.
I would say that's very clear, because you were phenomenal with me. Absolutely phenomenal.
I thank you for that.
Sure.
And so after coming to terms with some of my own chronic health stuff, in the fall of last year, I came across a couple of books that I talk about in my book. The Choice, Embracing the Possible, and some of Jen's books, the Badass books, and a couple of apps that completely transformed my life. And I talk about those in the book, and I'm happy to share some of that if you want now or later.
Yeah.
And so after reading the 2 books, a friend of Martha and mine told me about the Curable app. And I believe that you have mentioned that here. I think I've heard some folks mention it. For folks who don't know about it, it's based on artificial intelligence. It's science-based on your responses. And so our friend Anne had some chronic stuff, and told us that she was better 80% of the time, 80% better 80% of the time. And so Martha and I talked about it, and we're like, maybe we should check this out. And so I did, and I started using it faithfully every day for a couple of months. And after 3 months, my pain was gone, like 90 to 95% of the time. And so what it did was it taught me to retrain my brain and to be able to shut down. So if you don't have structural damage, and you can go on their website, they have testimonials from people with all kinds of chronic Lyme, everything, all kinds of chronic disease. If you don't have structural damage, so you've got x-rays, MRIs, nothing shows, it will absolutely give you your own technique. So for me, it's meditation, it's education, it's visualizations, and I can pick and choose on any given day what I want. And so I started to do this, and not only did it work for me for the pain, it has also showed me how to shut down my anxiety.
Wow.
With the same techniques. And I was just like, wow. And so the other thing that I just want to mention real quick.
So the app is called Curable, right?
Curable. It's curablehealth.com, I think. And so I paid for the lifetime membership. So I got it on sale. I think it was the cost of two acupuncture visits, 2 copays to the doctor. It was under $60. And then for another, I don't know, $150 maybe. I have it for my life. It's lifetime now. And
why would you not? If it's helping you, why would you not?
And I can go back to it at any point in time. I still use it maintenance now on a fairly regular basis, but not as often, not every day. But I know it's there if I need it again. And so that, and there's a website called Daily OM. OM.
Oh yeah, I do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I took this course on fascia, so the connective tissue, and for a lot of my chronic pain, a lot of the tension, yoga, all of that stretches out your muscles. Nobody really pays attention to the fascia, which is throughout your whole entire body. And so I started to stretch out my fascia. And Lauren, when I tell you that my pain for the most part is gone, and I've got inflammatory stuff, it's gone. And so that has allowed me to do more, be more, and live a better quality of life, as opposed to being resigned to what I thought it had to be and to completely reboot.
Right.
And so here I am now today in front of you in a much better, much different space, ready to take on the world, ready to help other people live into their fullest and highest potential, because it doesn't have to be the way that we necessarily think it is.
No, it doesn't. And that's what
so,
some of what we talk about in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain, it's a lot about accepting of our reality, but also using tools such as mindfulness, creativity, connection, of course, things like that. It, does, my story, and anybody that's watched before knows that I hit a very low rock bottom, and that was kind of my aha moment to kind of turn my life around. But it doesn't have to mean the end of your life. It may be a different path of your life, but it doesn't have to mean the end of your life. You've got several books out now. You put several out at the same time, but you've got Health Reboot: Resources to Heal Pain, Trauma, Anxiety, and Addiction. And that's what you talk about some of these things in, correct?
Yeah. So that book really is part my story and my recovery from alcohol, and part just tons of resources. And because I was like, okay, I've got 30 years experience in the field working and 30 years in recovery. I've got all this information sitting in my head. This might help somebody else.
I was so shocked when you told me you were 30 years sober, because I did the math and I'm like, well, that would mean you
graduate
got sober
school,
like right out of college. And I do not remember you, but I'm an alcoholic as well. Sometimes we hide it well. I mean, my own family didn't know about me, and I didn't go anywhere. I don't know how they didn't know, but I was surprised. I'm doing the math. I'm like, I know I'm old, but I'm like, wow, she must have been. So yeah, good for you. 30 years, quite an accomplishment. And in recovery, attending meetings and things like that, you do learn a lot about life and yourself, self-discovery. That's part of the reason why I'm here as well, is finding out. I'm always yearning to find out about myself, to make life easier, get out of my comfort zones, which is tough. And that's what we're talking about tonight. Your topic is building the readiness for change.
Yeah.
And a lot of us have a really tough time with change. We grasp onto our comfort zones and we don't want to get rid of them, So how do we change? Why do we need to change? How do we go about it? What do you recommend?
Yeah, so we hate it, right? Human nature is to stay the same. And so why do we need it? Everybody has to figure that out for themselves. And so figuring out your motivation, whether it's diet, whether it's alcohol or other substance use, no matter what it is, you have to figure out your motivation.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to talk tonight a little bit was, if you want to bring up the first graphic, Lauren.
Yeah, sure.
So stages of change. And so this model.
I forgot to talk about upcoming episodes. Let me just get to that real quick, as they're first. So next week is going to be just me. You guys are stuck with just me. But it's the episode that I had to cancel a couple of weeks ago, Ways to Boost Your Gratitude Practice. After that, I've got the just booked today, the host of the Wake Up Grateful podcast. Her name's Julie Boyer. She's fantastic. There's the podcast. Okay. And there's your graphic. Here we go.
Yeah. So exciting. Two guys, Prochaska and Di Clemente, who actually are from the University of Rhode Island back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah. Came up with this stages of change model to look at nicotine addiction and people who wanted to stop smoking. That's where this came out of. And so it basically talks about the set of stages that you go through when you want to change, and sort of why most people can't just jump into it. So we do our New Year's resolution and we're all gung-ho, but then a couple of weeks in, we stop going to the gym, we stop doing what we said we were going to do, and then we get discouraged and we give up and we walk away from it.
Right.
Right. And so this is basically planning things out. And so the first stage is what they call pre-contemplation. We all have blind spots, right? We get tunnel vision. You talked about staying in that comfort zone, and we want to just live there because it's familiar.
It's familiar, it's comfortable, we feel it's safe. It may not be safe, but we feel like it's safe.
Right. And so we don't want to hear it. Right. So if somebody says, hey, I think that you're doing this too much, or you're not doing that enough, or I'm concerned about this, you don't want to hear it. You tune them out. Or maybe you've tried to do something different before and it didn't work. And so you just say, well, it doesn't work. I can't do that. I can't do this.
Right.
I don't have the tools. I can't do this. And so what I talk to people about, and so my job as a coach really is to sort of plant seeds of doubt in people's mind. Well, what if it doesn't have to be this way for the rest of your life? What if things could be different, even if it's in a small way? You're fine. What if it could be different? And I talk to them about, what is it doing for you? What's the payoff? Because you wouldn't be continuing to do the behavior if it wasn't doing something for you. You weren't getting something out of it. And then what's it doing to you? What's the cost? Is it your health and your well-being? Is it your family? Right. So with addiction, right? Is it your job? So what is it doing to you?
And sometimes we don't see it.
No, those blind spots.
Like when I was in active addiction, and now looking back 8 years later, I can look at it and be like, how could I not know what a monumental problem this was?
Because you're in it.
I'm in it, and I lied to myself. I justified to myself that it was okay, that I deserved to drink.
Yeah.
I'm in pain, so, I deserve this.
Yeah. And so planting those seeds of doubts is really important. I talk in the book that my example that I gave was, I was in orthotics for a long time, and I was told that one leg was a little bit shorter than the other, and that this was it. And I was resigned to that for a long time. And then I came across an acupuncturist who was one of the most intuitive practitioners I've ever worked with. And she said to me, no, I really don't think this is right. This is how you fix it. And sure enough, I did what she told me. And that was the end of the orthotics.
Really?
Really. And so you just, if you're open to, and I think the gratitude slips in real nice here, Lauren, for me, when I'm in that place of gratitude, I can be open and I can hear that maybe I can do things in a different way. And maybe I don't have to be resigned to what is now. And maybe I can change it. And so trying to get out of that pre-contemplation stage into the next one, which is contemplation. And so this is where contemplation is, where the ambivalence is. You're sitting on the fence. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Do I want to? Do I not? Do I not? And so you're going back and forth, and that's great. That's a great place to be.
It is a great place to be, because you're coming to some kind of a realization, which can be huge.
Yeah, and often is for most people. And so, and being able to, again, to maybe change your lens a little bit. So when I'm in a position of being grateful, I can step back and say, oh, well, maybe they really are concerned about this. And maybe I do want to take a look at it. And maybe I don't want to take a look at it for them, because that's one place that you can get in trouble with addiction, especially is trying to get sober for somebody else and not you.
Right.
Right. You know that. So
yeah.
And so maybe I can look at this for me. And one thing I want to say in this place is, knowledge in and of itself does not change behavior.
That's the line I highlighted in your book that I wanted to. That's so funny you brought that. That's exactly the line. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Right.
So true. You can be as knowledgeable as you want, but that's not going to do it.
No. And so the example that I use is, and that I heard, right? I didn't make this up. Somewhere along the line at a training in AA, somewhere I heard this. We all know that we're supposed to floss twice a day.
Yeah.
We all know we're supposed to put sunscreen on when we go outside in the sun for extended periods of time, right? How many people do that? Right? So just because we know it right here, until we connect it here, again, which for me is where the gratitude comes in, is helping make that connection to the heart. We're not going to, it's going to be harder to change. It's going to be harder to look at things through a different lens, to step back and look at different perspective and entertain the thought, well, maybe this really is a problem. Maybe I'm really not comfortable with this. Maybe I really do want to do things different. Right. And so the next stage we go into then is the preparation stage. And this is, people don't spend enough time here. They, a lot of times, will go from making the decision to jumping in. And again, I go back to New Year's resolution, and there's no planning. So in this planning stage, this is crucial. You want to test the waters. You want to do your research, and you want to plan.
Interesting.
You want to know who your supports are.
Right. That's good.
And one of the most important things to me also these days is you want to make it fun. Right. Sometimes in that tunnel vision, we can just get so, oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do this. You got one life. It's now.
Yep.
Right. And so figuring out, if I'm going to make a dietary change, can I get my family involved? How can we make this fun?
That is such great advice. It's phenomenal advice. It's so important, because if it's not fun, we're not going to want to do it.
Right. And what's the point, really? And so, and the other major thing in this prep stage is, what do you do when you get a case of the F-its? When you have those days, right, where you just are like, I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to do this today. And it will happen.
Right.
Right. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something. You will hit those speed bumps, those bumps. And so it's important to have that plan of, when this does happen, who can I call? What can I do? Right. And whether that's meditation or doing a gratitude list or whatever the case may be, it's important to know that before it happens, because when we're in crisis in that moment, that's not the time to say, oh, what do I do now?
Such a good point, because so many times, like say quitting, I tried to quit smoking many, many times. For me, quitting smoking was harder than quitting drinking.
Yes.
And thank God I haven't smoked it. I think it's been like 6-7 years, but
good for you. That's
oh gosh, thank God. But it was so difficult. And then I would have one, and then I would be like, well, forget it. I'll try again next week or something. And I know people struggle like that with diets and, anything, drinking. And it doesn't have to even be anything that dramatic. It can be other life changes as well. But having, just giving ourselves that self-compassion, right? That it's okay for those speed bumps, but having a plan on how to do it, right? That's great advice.
And the other piece in this prep stage is harm reduction. And so that's something that we use in the addiction field, but it can be transferred to anything of, what can you do to reduce the harm? So if I'm not ready to completely cut something out, how do I cut back on it? How do I, if I want to exercise more, but I'm not committed to doing that, I park my car farther away from the door, so I have to walk more steps to get there. Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of ways that you can do harm reduction, regardless of what your goal is. And you can prepare for that, right? So I talk in the book that back in 2013, the end of 2013, Martha cuts out gluten and dairy and fried food for health reasons. Mm-hmm. and I sort of come along begrudgingly for the ride because it makes it easier with the cooking.
Big life change.
Right. And so, okay. So give up the pasta, go gluten-free. And the stuff tasted like hockey pucks back then.
Yeah, I know. It did. They're getting better now, but they did back then.
It was awful. And
Yeah.
so we find gluten-free pizza. Okay, so that's great. And everything goes, but I am not willing to give up my English muffins. That was like Thomas's was my last holdout, right? And so we buy wedding rings up in Rhode Island when we're up visiting. We're out in Western Mass at the time. We're going to renew our vows 10 years in 2014.
Oh.
A couple of weeks before the ceremony, we go to try on the rings. They didn't fit. We had dropped water weight. I dropped like 10 pounds.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
From the gluten. Well, gluten is inflammatory.
Right,
Dairy
it is, yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so that was it. That was my aha moment of I'm done. And so now, if we decide to take the hit, which is what we call it, right? We have enzymes that we can take to help break down the gluten in the body. Like
really?
Yeah. So it's planned, and it's not going to be something out of a box. So a couple of weeks ago, we've got a local bakery, and we were at the farmer's market, and we saw the croissants. And we haven't cheated in I can't tell you how long it was the last time we cheated before this. It's been a really long time. And so we bought a bunch.
Croissants from the farmer's market are worth it, right?
We bought a bunch and had a good time. And 2 days later, we started barking at each other. So the irritability.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that's how it plays out with us. And we can laugh about it today. And so, but harm reduction is that I'm going to have one piece of pizza instead of 6, right? I'm going to take and cut back. If I'm drinking too much, I'm going to maybe cut back one drink when I go out, or have a glass of water in between drinks, so that I'm not drinking that much. So there's a lot of ways that you can reduce harm, or that you can plan for it if you're going to do something, and to be prepared. The more prepared that you can be on that, the better off it's going to be when you go into the next phase, which is the action phase.
Such good advice. And you're so right. You know, that's why New Year's resolutions, I forget the statistic, but
they don't work. People don't.
90-something% fail. Yeah. So in AOG, in the group, we do intentions rather than resolutions, because intentions are much more flexible. They're fluid. They allow for life to happen, because life does happen, and it's okay. We don't need to be resentful against ourselves. We just need to deal with it and move forward. That's such good advice, Lisa.
Yeah. And the one thing I love about these stages of change is they're fluid. So you go into the action phase. It's time to get in it. You do it. It's like a new muscle at the gym. It takes time.
Right.
New habits take time. And if you're going to take something away, you have to put something back in that void. Otherwise, you'll find something else to fill it with that may not be as good or worse than, Judith
Paris. I just switched addictions. Me too, Judith. Me too.
Absolutely.
I'm buying watercolor paint like it's going out of style.
There you go. There you go. Right. So you're going to find something to fill that void, and anything that can be done to moderation can be done to excess.
Yep.
Anything at all. Okay.
Yep. Especially people like you and I.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we get into the action phase, and then you get into the maintenance phase. And in this phase, pretty much your choices, your intention, right? You talked about that, Lauren. Your intention is either continuing towards recovery, or that healthy change, whatever it is, or it's going to take you back in the direction of a relapse, which is that last stage.
Right. And relapse doesn't have to be something dramatic.
No.
Like an alcohol relapse or something like that. It can be, whatever life change you need to be making in your life. It can be applying to that. But it's a natural part of life that we
absolutely
ebb and flow with this stuff. But your techniques in dealing with them are brilliant.
Thank you. It's better to be prepared. And the hope is that if you do relapse, the time that it takes to get you back on the wagon again, if you will, regardless of what it is, will be shorter than it was the last time. And so you may not go back to pre-contemplation. You may go right back into the action phase of where you were and pick up where you left off with the knowledge behind you of what happened. What were my triggers here?
Yep.
Be it a food trigger, alcohol, other substances, whatever it is. What were the triggers? Was I at a party where there was lots of eating and drinking going on, and was I there too long?
Yeah.
Right? Did I need to exit an hour beforehand because I can't be in that environment anymore? So figuring that stuff out. And sometimes, again, we need help. We can't see it. We don't see it. We don't know what to do. We don't think it's possible. And so sometimes getting outside help can also assist with that.
Having somebody to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in a bad way, saying, over you. But like I said, with you, with what you did with me with the book, just knowing that you were there and having regular conversations and meetings and things like that, it really, really helped a lot. Lot.
And the biggest thing is, right, you have the answers inside of you.
Yeah.
You knew what to do, Lauren. And so sometimes we need help getting to that place where we recognize and trust that we have the answers inside of us.
Yeah.
And we know what to do. And so a lot of times with the coaching, I may bring some new information to the table, or it may be reminding and getting people to remember what you used to do. I just finished up with a client who listed off all these things that they had gotten away from and then got back into doing. And that was the transformation for this person. Stuff that brought them joy. And once they had joy and gratitude back in their life again, it just opened up all new possibilities.
Absolutely. And I can't stress enough, and I know you feel the same, with self-compassion.
Yeah, it's important. Put the bad away.
We shouldn't be so hard on ourselves. If there's a relapse, if we do a slip or whatever, self-compassion, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We're bound to slip up. That doesn't mean we have to go back, to the beginning or just forget it altogether. We're all works in progress. We're all human.
And you will always have that experience now behind you to take and pass on to somebody else.
Right.
Right. And I remember from meetings that I heard early on, you may hear something that will save your life one day, and you may say something that may save somebody else's.
Yep.
Based on your experience.
I tell people that in the group all the time. People feel like they don't contribute or whatever. I'm like, you never know. One small thing you say, you have no idea. It could change somebody's day. It can change somebody's life.
You don't know.
You don't know. Before you move on, I just want to say again, if you'd like to win, Lisa's offering either a free coaching session with herself or a free copy of her book, Health Reboot. Do #gratitude. We'll do the live drawing at the end of the broadcast here. So #gratitude. You have to make sure you spell it right, because the program picks it up. I don't do it. The program picks it up. You have to spell it right. So make sure you do that. So, okay. So
all right, let's bring up the next slide.
Yeah. Next slide. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, so we talked about harm reduction. We talked about gratitude. So shifting that focus onto what you'll be gaining, because the other thing that people get jammed up on is, I'm going to lose something. I'm going to have to give up something. So shift that focus to, what are you going to get from this? I'm going to get my health back. I'm going to get my family back. I'm going to get my job back. I'm going to be healthier to do more things. So shift that focus. Understand that change takes time.
It does.
And we are not patient.
No, we want it. We want things, and we want it now, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you recommend for people? Like, as we talked about in the beginning, change is so scary for everybody, of course. When you live with a chronic condition, chronic pain or something like that, we grasp on, like I said before, to we find things that work, we find things that don't work, that we get these comfort zones where we feel we're in a status quo. We're not great, but we're in a status quo, and stepping outside of our comfort zones. I know that's where all the beautiful things come in, but it is super scary. What do you recommend to your clients as far as like getting past that fear and trying, baby steps? What do you recommend?
So I would see if you can get somebody to do it with you,
I love that.
if that's appropriate, right? So be it go to a meeting, or be it go walking with you, or be it try a new activity or a new group or something.
You come to our group, come to our Flush the Format live chats on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You're free to talk about whatever you want. We do that on Zoom every Tuesday and Wednesday if you're a member of our group.
Yeah, awesome. Right. So find places that you can, again, test the water.
I love how you are making this a not necessarily group activity, but not a solo activity. I love that.
It's more fun when you have somebody to help, if you can get a partner, right? So some of this stuff has been incredibly, I'm not going to say easy. It's been better for me having Martha.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so we rely on each other a lot if one of us is going to make a major change. And like I said, sometimes I just go along for the ride and vice versa.
Yeah.
And it ends up benefiting anyway. Right. So it's an added bonus. So find that support. That would be one thing for sure. Two is, again, focusing on what you're going to gain from this. What is the benefit that is going to be to you? And it doesn't, again, have to be something monumental. It can be something small and incremental. Any change potentially that's going to help you, awesome, right? So, and understanding that it is going to maybe be 2 steps forward and 1 step back, right. And figuring out, what are you afraid of?
Yeah, that's a biggie.
And if I wasn't afraid, what would I be doing?
Right.
If I didn't have this fear, what would my next step be? And if you don't know, then look at what other people are doing. The internet can be a great place of resource. Look at what other people are doing.
Yep.
And see what's out there. And if you need to get help, get help.
Right.
Right. Sure. Because if a couple of times of talking to somebody is enough to sort of get you on your way and help you get pointed in a direction, that may be all you need.
Yes. So many of us, especially those of us who were active addicts, the end of our careers as addicts were spent alone. I know I isolated, did not let anybody in. When I had to go to rehab and was forced to talk to people. I did not want to originally, but I found, and obviously I created the group and this broadcast and all that the healing happens, not within myself. That is for sure. I have to talk to people.
Yeah. And we can't
changer.
Keep it if we don't give it away, right? We learned that in program, Lauren, right? So part of this is passing on the message, and because you never know what's going to be or what's going to do for somebody else.
Yeah.
So getting out of yourself.
Yeah, which is tough. We think we know all the answers, but another thing we say in the program is the definition of insanity. We do the same thing over and over and expect different results. It's so true. It is so true. Like, this time it's going to work. This time this diet's going to work. This time, I'll only drink. I'll only drink on the weekends. Or for me, it was, I just won't drive when I drink anymore because I had a DUI before, which sounds perfectly logical when you're an active alcoholic, except when you're in a blackout and you don't realize that you are going to get the keys and drive the car, then that doesn't work very well. And I, there's not a day that goes by I'm not thankful that things ended the way they did for me. They could have ended a whole lot worse, but we do tend to think that things are going to be different. So, get incorporating at least one person, right? And that's the beauty of the internet. I mean, the internet can be an awful place, but it can also be a beautiful place. Facebook groups can really be a good source of help.
Yeah, there's a lot of support out there.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure where to look, then talk to people, right? So brainstorming ideas with people, they may be able to help. Talk
Yeah.
to your friends, talk to your family, talk to people in a Facebook group, and just be open, right? I think the main thing is being open, not being in that place of, I know this, I got this,
Right.
I did this, that doesn't work for me. Try it again.
Yeah.
Maybe you tried it 10 years ago and maybe you're in a different place.
Such a good point. Such a good point.
Just be
As
open.
I know from, I speak from the chronic pain aspect. There's, everybody's at a different part of their journey. Nobody's right or wrong, of course, but there's certain people, they just complain. And you offer them suggestions and they're like, tried it. They're not willing to open up and try new things. But when you're not willing to open up and try new things, or even try them again, like you said, you just don't know.
You may miss something. What if you miss that thing?
Right.
That changes your course of direction, and
Right.
you will never know, and you can sit and be miserable.
Yes.
Right. So that's the alternative, is you can sit in your own stuff.
Right.
And be absolutely miserable. And maybe it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't. And, I feel like I keep plugging the group, and I don't mean to be, but our group, it's a solution-based group. We don't talk about our conditions. We just have like an umbrella message statement saying we're all in pain. Now what? Let's focus on being positive and not pushing things under the rug, because that's not healthy either. We offer those chats where you can talk about whatever you want, but how can I live with this peacefully, joyfully, and live a fulfilling life? Because this is what it is. I tried for many years. I was spinning my wheels trying to cure myself, and it wasn't working. And that made myself sicker and sicker. And then, alcohol came into the picture for me.
And I think
the more I tried to control things, the more out of control I was. Sorry.
That's okay. And so what that brought up for me, Lauren, the other thing is don't compare yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the other big thing, especially in groups, and we learned in program, identify. Don't compare.
Good point.
My pain and your pain may be completely different. Yours is just as valid for you as mine is for me.
Yes.
And if I go to that place where, oh, I'm not that bad, oh, she's got it worse for me,
yes.
It not only devalues the other person and their experience, but it also doesn't put you in a good place either.
No. And that's the main reason why we don't talk about our conditions in the group, because it also changes day to day. Like in some groups you can go and say, I've got lupus and fibromyalgia, and somebody could be like, well, you're lucky you only have that because I've got this, 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 and this.
That's
and then
helpful.
you feel small. And then, somebody who stubs their toe may be in more emotional pain on that particular day than somebody that lives with a chronic condition. It doesn't matter. Your pain is valid. Like you said, that's a really good point. Arlene, I love this subject. I'm not patient. My mom, great information. Thank you. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
This is great information. Did we get to everything on your side that you have the answers?
We did. So any questions from
please
viewers?
Feel free to ask questions. If you're if you are an Alpha Chi and you're watching, say hello.
Oh yeah, come on out.
Don't say our secret pass. Do you remember we had a secret password?
Oh, I do.
I do too. I was surprised. And we had a handshake too.
Yes, we did.
I think I remember it. Yes, hello. If you say hello, if you're an Alpha Chi. So yeah, ask Lisa questions again. # gratitude. We have a couple of minutes left where you can enter. Where is it? # gratitude. So tell us about when you got sober. How did you change? Why did you feel the need to change?
I was a binge drinker and a blackout drinker in college, and
I don't remember that. Funny. I don't.
Yes. So I didn't drink. I did drink a lot at school when I did drink, but a lot of it happened on breaks, on vacations, and out of state.
Interesting.
And so my last drunk, I should have been dead. Went skiing with a group of friends. It was icy that day and I didn't ski. So I chose to stay at the bar thinking it would be safer.
Mm.
And 13 hours later, yeah, not good. And so that for me was it. But I didn't start going to meetings for about another 2.5 years. So I was dry.
Yeah.
I was not in a good place mentally. And I got into the field because it was a great place to hide.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
telling everybody else what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
And so a couple of years in, I had to step back from doing direct service and get my house in order. And I did that. And yeah, and I got into other things. You know, I talk in the book about Buddhism and Native American healing. I found some amazing practitioners and people to work with in my journey. And so my spirituality has been everywhere.
Yeah.
And I will take in anything to me that is spiritual. And a lot of that happens outside these days. Yep. And that puts me right, gratitude as soon as I walk out on my back patio and look at the birds and the sky and what's out there, or if I get out hiking, that does it for me.
Yeah, and you post on your personal Facebook page, you call it a gift of the day, don't you? Or you post you're into photography, you post a nature photo usually. Martha, your wife is here. Great job, both. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, sweetie. I love you.
And Arlene wants to be an Alpha Chi. That is our sorority. I don't know in Canada if you have sororities, but they're kind of clubs you form in at university. I don't know if that's what you call it in Canada, but URI, which is the University of Rhode Island, had a nickname, You Are High, known as a party school.
Back in the day.
Yes, for sure. Our sorority was actually kicked off campus several years ago. I don't know if it's back or not, but
I think this year they're supposed to.
I hope so.
Come back,
hope so. We had it was a good house. Yeah, well, I'm so glad you got sober. So how does gratitude come into your life?
Oh, daily.
You said a little bit with you find it in nature.
It keeps things in perspective. It keeps me humble. Whether I do a gratitude list, whether I just step back and take stock into how far I've come. So I find that looking back sometimes is helpful, and it just gives me perspective and gives me the ability to not get stuck in my ways. I think that's one of the biggest things these days is it keeps me open to trying new things, to taking in new information, to saying, oh, well, I wonder if that could help me.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the ways that I can think of off the top of my head, but and when I'm grateful, I get more joy out of things. I'm in touch. I'm present with things in a way that I never used to be. I never had the ability to do that. And I never appreciated stuff.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate a lot more in my life. And again, focusing on what I have, not what I don't.
That's so important. So, I say a lot in my my other book, which will be coming out hopefully next year, Chronically Grateful, I talk about
I think Lauren just kicked herself off again. She told me she might. So I'm just going to hang here until she comes back. Arlene, thanks being open.
I told you I'd knock myself out of the podcast again. I don't know how I do it. I swear. Yes, Arlene, but being open to new things is an awesome practice for sure. Being stuck in our ways is a dangerous place to be. Somebody early on when I was in AA told me, a sponsor actually told me, it's okay to look back, but don't stare.
Yes.
And I love that. For me, my gratitude is, I look back, my baseline is June 20th, 2013, waking up in that hospital, not knowing how I got there after a DUI. And I think oh my God, not only could I be dead, but I think more that I could have killed somebody. I could have killed people. And, you know, I don't torture myself over that. I more use it as, oh my gosh, this pain's bad, but you know what? Anything's better than that day.
Yeah.
Anything is better than that day.
Yeah.
And I at that time, I thought, I have no use in life anymore. My life is over. You know, I was PTA president, for goodness sakes, and now look at me. How did I
the ego,
as if I'm so important,
yeah,
you know, let myself get like this? And it obviously, you know, as far as addiction goes, it can happen to anybody. And it did. It happened to me fast and hard and bad. So I'm grateful to have that monkey off my back, and now I'm just addicted to watercolor paint. But yeah, gratitude for me. If you can look at things and take perspective, it really helps, because stewing in the negative, like you had said earlier, Lisa, it was you hang out with negative people who just talk negative, you're going to be negative.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you can't share your truth. You need to share your truth. But if you're hanging around and your tribe is with people who generally want to be positive and make changes together, you can work together, like you said, having accountability partners. I want to put up your website again. She's chilloutcoaching.com. Beautiful website you've got. I know Martha helped you a lot with that. Chilloutcoaching.com. Gosh, I mean, you know, and Lisa and I are personal friends, as I've said already several times. And after our sessions, she would send me these emails detailing what we talked about. It was like the most, it was professional, but really personal. I don't even know how to describe it. Very warm, very, very warm. I was so impressed. So you know, if you win the prize, you can get her book, which is, you've got several books out. Let's talk about your other books. We still have a couple minutes.
So what happened after Health Reboot was that I realized that a lot of people in AA struggle with spirituality. Mm-hmm. And so Spirituality Reboot sort of came out of that. And it's really a bunch of questions and queries to help people find their path. And so from that came,
there we go,
acceptance and stress. And after I met with you and we talked about imposter syndrome, I got to thinking, And then the last one was the financial. But the theme in all of these, Lauren, is fear and anxiety.
Yes. Isn't it always?
Yeah.
Right.
And so these are just questions to help people get clarity, so that they can hopefully change their direction and change their path.
Great. You are just incredible. I'm so
thank you for having me.
Proud of you. Let's give away a prize. Let's see.
All right.
Let's see if I can do this. This tool that StreamYard offers, really fun. But Campbell, now that I know that you're back from vacation, I'm going to use you for next show's giveaway tool. Here we go. Let's see if I can do this. All right. Can you guys see this? All right. Is it on the screen? Yes. Okay. Good luck, everybody. Who's going to win? Brenda Royer.
Yay.
Brenda won a book a few weeks ago, too. Congratulations, Brenda. Let's private message, and you can let me know if you'd like the book or a session with Lisa, and we'll work that out. That's awesome. And Brenda has our attitude of gratitude with chronic pain profile frame there. So kudos to that. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for being here live. If you're viewing us, all episodes are recorded as well. We're on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you for joining us. I have no doubt whatsoever this was an incredibly informative hour. I learned a lot, and I knew what we were going to be talking about. So I'm so thrilled for you with this new endeavor. You're going to do great, and you're going to help a lot of people.
Thank you, Lauren, as are you. I'm excited for you and your new endeavors, and I'm grateful to be walking this path with you.
Me too.
On this journey, and I love you.
I love you too, my friend.
All
All right, guys. I will see you next Thursday. We'll talk about ways you can boost your gratitude, unique new ways that I have to share with you. And then Wake Up Grateful podcast, Julie Boyer will be with me the week after. So I will see you later. Peace and love. And I'm going to do the closing because I always forget to do that. So thanks, gang. I'll see you
Night,
next.
everybody.
Bye, Lisa. Thank you.
Bye.